Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Joes of all ages, welcome to the main event of the evening.
It's Talking Joe with Chief and Steve.
Yo, Joe! Yo, Joe! Yo, Joe!
Hey, it's me, the Chief Doggy Dog, joined by the S Club. No, it's S Jub. Ain't no party like an S Jub party.
Damn,
God, I don't even know my co-host's name. How are you, my friend?
Awesome, dude. You are blowing my speakers out.
Oh, jeepers. Jeez,
Beautiful, beautiful. A little bit more Chief, please. Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you why that is? I'm excited because if you're a regular listener to the show, well, two reasons I'm excited. One's going to be apparent soon, but the first one is regular listeners will know the Chief loves a hobby, and he's only gone and got himself a new one.
Fill us in, Chief. Fill us in.
Well, let's just recap quickly. And they're time-consuming, expensive hobbies. So, of course, I had the comic hobby, where at my peak I probably had 12,000 comics, I would say. That's not cheap. Then I went into comic art collecting about 10 years ago, getting sketches and commissions from artists. Probably got over 500. That ain't cheap, I can tell you that for free. Then I was in board games, and I got this one called Star Wars Imperial Assault, which has got loads of minis. I've got like 100 minifigures that need painting. That ain't cheap. Then I got into, well, I'm looking now, turning around. I'm looking at my video games. I've got the, wait a minute, let me have a look. I've got the NES, the SNES, the Master System, the Mega Drive, the Saturn, the Dreamcast. I see a GameCube there. I see a PS1, 2, 3, and 4, an Xbox 360. Oh yeah, there's an N64 there as well. And I think that's about it. That ain't cheap, buying retro games on that. What else do I do? Oh, yeah, and then I had a nervous breakdown about 2 months ago and decided to spend £800 on Scalextric slot car racing to fill up my loft, and that ain't cheap. Oh, Ben, former co-host, came round the other day, and we had a 4-hour burn-up on the Scalextric's track. So I'll be posting pictures and images of that. Fun to see. And then 2 weeks ago, as listeners will know, I decided to dip my toe into the action figure world. Not really dipping my toe, kind of my whole body, because I went balls deep. And I think I've got 18 6-inch action figures across many different lines. I'll post pictures up on that. Had a Turtles shipment arrive today, actually. Playmates 2012 Turtles figures found on a Gumtree, which is, I guess, kind of like a Craigslist kind of thing. And 15 quid for 4 Turtles figures. Very good, very good.
But still no Joes?
Still no Joes, because, I'll tell you what, the only ones I could get hold of, there's only 3 available in the UK online, and that is Destro, Scarlet and Roadblock. So I've ordered those, but the problem was, I ordered them with a Black Series, Star Wars Black Series, Beskar Armour Mandalorian figure, and that is on pre-order. So because that's a pre-order, they haven't shipped my shipment of Joes. They're waiting for the pre-order to come in before they ship everything. So anyway, they'll come in, and I'm waiting on back orders on Snake Eyes, etc. And Duke is the one I really want. He looks quality. And then today I went down to my local hobbycraft store and spent £60 on hobby stuff, because I'm going to start making action figure dioramas out of nowhere. Basically, watched some videos last night thinking I want to do some toy photography, and they're all the inside ones have got these cool dioramas of buildings and stuff. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Spent 3 hours watching how to make dioramas, and then just bought a load of stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, Chief, you got the stuff, man. You've been painting miniatures and like making up little bases for them. So you know the techniques.
Yes,
now you're just going to blow it up big style to like, what is it, 1 to 12 scale. Nice.
1 to 12 scale, yes. Everything's got to be bigger, that's the problem. But
well,
anyway,
at least you don't have to cheat scale so much. Like, grass will look like grass, you know?
I guess.
Like, the kind of foliage that you buy at hobby stores will really work for the 6-inch guys. Anyway, What do I know? I'm a slave to scale.
What have you been up to?
Well, keeps me on toes. My job, but the money... Chief... Somebody is burgling my words.
Wait a minute, there's a knock on the door. Who is it? Oh! It's the Word Burglar!
What's happening? Yo, I heard there was some Joe talk going on, so I had to pop in and get in on this action.
Snuck in like a blue ninja.
Oh, don't call me a blue ninja.
A Russian card game master. Thank you.
Oh man, what a treat! What a treat! That's right. It's rap legend straight out of Canada, Word Burglar, GI Joe fan, nostalgia, retro man, comic book writer as well. Let's say that. And rapper extraordinaire with his fantastical lyrics. How are you, sir?
I'm so good. I'm feeling energized. I was just up all night reading G.I. Joe comics, which is, a normal thing that happens around here. And now I'm glad I've got some people to talk to them about.
Oh, wicked, wicked.
That's
Very
what this
cool,
is
very
all
cool.
about. It's kind of cathartic. It's like we spend so much time sitting on our opinions about G.I. Joe, but Talking Joe is where it's in the title, baby. We just talking some Joe.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's, just rereading these issues that we're going to dig into. It's just so energizing and reaffirming of all those things that you're like, yes, I love this. Oh, I forgot I love this part. And so it's always great to revisit. And these particular issues I hadn't revisited in a while. So it was really good to dig them out of the long box.
Yeah, so I'm going straight in with questions before we get to that. So you mentioned
sure.
long box there. Are you a singles man, a trade man, a digital? Where does your loyalty lie?
I am definitely physical. I get a lot. I get very physical. I've been buying the floppies, as we like to call them, the single issues, since I was a kid, going to the gas stations and corner stores, wherever I could find them, the grocery store. Like, that's where I grew up getting my comics, finding comics out of order. My first G.I. Joe issues, I got all out of order, and I'd go to different corner stores, and they'd have, issues that were months old, and you never knew what was going on. And then, of course, I discovered comic shops, and then just got deeper and deeper. And I worked at 2 different comic shops, Strange Adventures in Halifax and Silver Snail in Toronto. And so I got a job working at a comic shop in high school, and then just got all in on like graphic novels and trade paperbacks and hardcovers. I have never been able to do the digital comics that well. Like, I release, my comics come out on digital as well as physical, but for reading, I need that tactile. I need to turn that page. I need to be able to flip back and forth. I just need to hold paper.
The smell,
Yeah,
I like.
Oh, man, I was just reading my old special missions, like the original run from the 80s, 90s, and I opened them up, and that smell is so good. Just that like beautiful paper, and the newsprint and Baxter paper. Oh yeah, it's that whole experience. It's same thing with like music, holding a record, holding a CD, being able to look at the art and open things up and interact with the art, whether it's putting the vinyl on your turntable or the CD in your CD thing. I just find that whole experience, it's just better. I mean, digital, look, it's great. I'm not going to hate because it's fantastic for comic readers, but given the option, I'm physical all day.
Yeah. Well, we were maybe going to save this for later, but I want to dig into this now. You mentioned the vinyl. You have actually, word has reached my shell-like ears that there is an upcoming project which people might want to know about.
Yes, Welcome to Cobra Island, which is an album I put out in 2013, which I think we can say is pretty much inspired by my lifelong love of all things G.I. Joe and Cobra, from toys to the cartoons to the comics to everything. I made this album as just sort of, a labor of love, put it out in 2013. It's available online for free download to this day. You can go get it.
And let me just add to that, Burgie, it is the definitive album for anyone connected to G.I. Joe fandom. Like, if people are listening to this podcast and not aware of Cobra Island, ho ho ho! Boy, have they got a treat in store for their audio canals.
Well, I'm very honored. Thank you.
No, dude, props, big time.
People have asked me over the years if I was ever going to put it on vinyl, and I've always wanted to. And now there's a good opportunity. I mean, the album's 7 years old now, and people are still checking it out and listening to it. And I'm so happy that people enjoy it, because it's really me just showing what I love about G.I. Joe and trying to make everything fit into one world from every angle of the Sunbow to the Marvel to IDW to DIC to the even, the movies, the live action movies, like little facets and little things here and there, and like how, if you were playing with your Joes and you've kind of got it all in your head, like how all this stuff could actually work. So that was my goal, and I've always wanted to put it on vinyl. Now I have the opportunity to do it because Bandcamp are offering crowdfunding opportunities to artists for certain albums to be put on vinyl. And I figured, let's try it out. So, yeah, hopefully if we can get enough people to support it, we'll be able to finally release Welcome to Cobra Island on wax, which would be amazing to have that nice piece of vinyl to just put on and rock out to.
The important question is, how do people get involved in this? How do we go about funding it, making it happen?
Okay, so as of this recording, the date of launch is September 15th. It's going to go live, and then there's 30 days to get the thing funded. There's a few different options. You can buy just the vinyl, or you can, support at higher tiers. We've got a bunch of cool little incentives that still getting narrowed down as of this recording, but I'm pretty excited about them. Links will be available on wordburglar.com, which is my website, or you can follow me. I'm on Instagram at the Word Burglar, and Twitter, Word Burglar, or Facebook. I mean, really, if you type in Word Burglar, I think I'm the only one in the phone book. But yeah, and then it will be available on Bandcamp. So if you've ever if you've downloaded Cobra Island on Bandcamp for free, that's where the vinyl launch is going to be there as well. So, and yeah, this is just to really cover the costs and get the vinyl manufactured. And it's going to be made to order. So if you want the vinyl, this is the way to do it. And we're just making it for this run. So
I think as long as there's international shipping, I think you've got two pledges right here anyway. So
well, I appreciate that. And I mean, honestly, out of all my records, this is the one that people keep asking if it's coming to vinyl. And I think it's because we're of that era, maybe like, Joe fandom, and it's growing and growing. But obviously, like a lot of, 80s and 90s babies, I think are the bulk of the Joe fandom, and they remember vinyl. So
although let's not discount Spaceverse, because that is an absolute belter as well. So
well, thank you. Yeah, hey, if this goes well, I'd be totally up. And if people want to see everything out on vinyl, I would love to do that. But right now I've just got my fingers crossed that we can get this one made, because I mean personally, I'm just doing it for me. I want a copy of this on vinyl. I always joke that I make my own albums, so I get free copies.
So with nice. I'm just going to jump into a listener question here straight away before we dig into snacks, because this kind of talking about Welcome to Cobra Island, and you were talking, it's the distillation of all your loves of all things Joe, and Phil kind of said, which holds the most affinity to you, the comics, the toys, the cartoon, or he said, dare I even say the movies?
Well, I mean, honestly, I have to go with Larry's original run on, Larry's original Marvel run is just, unparalleled just in anything. Like that is such a consistent, incredible story. Easily, I mean, for the first 126 issues, that's sort of my magical pocket, and then it slows down a bit when you get...
Word, what happened in 127 to sour it for you?
Well, towards the end, no. Hey, look, I love it
down
all.
to the issue number. I'm going to check out what happened in 127. 127 has the DEF.
126 is the Firefly issue, right?
Okay.
So I feel like that for me was kind of like a capping point, and then the next 25 or so odd issues. There's some amazing issues in that final run, of course, like the finale, Letter from Snake Eyes. We've got another great Origin of Snake Eyes issue. There's some goofy stuff with the Transformers and Ninja Force, which honestly is pretty fun to just like, and there's some great Cobra Commander dialogue in like 150, and just, I mean, Cobra Commander is just so brilliant. And rereading the issues today, like the way Larry writes Cobra Commander, I feel like when he pours so much into Cobra Commander whenever he writes him, and the dialogue, it's so good. But yeah, that Marvel run I think is probably, to answer the question, Marvel, Sunbow is obviously where I first really fell in love with these characters outside, because other than the toys I had and then being able to watch the cartoon, I've got a lot of love for Sambo, like so much love. And I think they both can coexist as, two sides of the Joe coin. I'm a huge fan of Larry's stuff, which obviously is rooted more in, it's still fantasy, but there's so much action adventure and the military and the team stuff going on. And where Sambo gets more into the outlandish, absurd Cobra La, people turning into bait, children, and like so many wild things, all Dr. Mindbender's schemes. That stuff's so fun. When you're a kid, it's so fun, and I love Cobra La a lot too. So I have no problems with the Cobra La world, and I have no problem with the Hamaverse.
That's actually my favourite track on the Welcome to Cobra Island is the Cobra La track. So
thanks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I wanted to make it. That song is about two Cobra Vipers who don't want to go to Cobra La. And I mean, just, if you're thinking about it and you're just working for Cobra, you signed up because, hey, whatever, I'm unscrupulous and I don't mind working for this evil terrorist organization and whatever. What am I going to do? Like clean a couple fire bats and, just hang out at the Terrordrome and play poker and stuff at night and, maybe get knocked out by an invader here or there, but I'll be okay. But then you think of these guys being told, hey, no, by the way, there's an evil ancient snake civilization, and they mutate people, and we're going there. So come on, come with.
Best of luck, yeah.
Yeah, so that song was a lot of fun. And I know every now and then I'll encounter someone who just tells me they hate Cobra La, and Cobra La ruined Joe, and I just see it as a complete opposite. Being a kid watching that movie, it just cracked my brain open, and it was like, what? Everything I know is a lie. Yeah. And then, of course, you go read the comic book, and then they were doing the whole Fred Seven story at the time, which was different.
It's probably the same people that kind of didn't like the Cobra La stuff are probably the same people. Everyone's entitled to like what they want, but it's probably the same people that didn't really get on with the Tom Sholey 12-issue Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. Because I don't know if you've read that, but
I have. I have the floppies and the hardcover.
Okay, yeah, equally wacky, but more wacky, but just superb. We discussed that. We actually had Tom on an episode of Talking Joe, and we discussed the book with him, and love it.
I would love to listen to that. I love that series, and again, it's completely different. It's wacky, but at its core, there's love there. My issue with some of the interpretations, and I won't name names, but there have been a few Joe comics that have come out in recent years that you just look at and you're like, this has not been done by anyone who has any care or respect for any aspect of this property, and it's just a slap in the face. And I will say the Tom Scioli one was not that. I love that Tom Scioli. It was just like playing with a box of toys and trying to make all these crazy ideas of Transformers and G.I. Joe work together. And I just think that was a brilliant, fun. Like reading it, I felt like, I'm like 7 years old just playing with every toy that I could find and making just crazy adventures. And it was brilliant. But I digress.
Listen, I'm getting hungry here because it is 2:34 and I'm always hungry. It's morning for you, and it's probably almost bedtime for you, S-Jubs. So let's go for the snack police. Oh, before we go to the snack police, I've got two names for Burgie. He can be the Burginator or Burgosaurus Rex.
I'll go Burginator when we're on this 80s tip. That sounds appropriate for sure.
Okay, right. Let's see if the Burginator's got a snack, because it's time for the snack police. Potato chips, crisps, biscuits and candy, washing them down with a whiskey or a brandy, chewy sweets, cookies, built around jerky, snacks running fair because we got them at our mercy. We're snackers, attackers, bad mother truckers, and we're eating all the crackers, munchers, crunchers, knock out snacks like we're heavyweight punchers. Snack police are in his house. Okay, we're here live. Three of us head-to-head snacks. I've actually got two with me. I can't decide which one to go with. And because it's morning time and you're kind of trailing us in the time zone-wise, what have you got for us, Burginator?
Well, yes, being back. Am I back in time or am I ahead of time?
Yeah, it's a crazy time paradox that only a DeLorean can solve, I think.
Well, it is morning where I'm recording in the Word Burglar over here.
Yeah.
And my snack, I could not say no. My wife baked this incredible. She calls it olive oil blueberry cake, and
Ooh.
it is a delight. It's fluffy, it's flaky, it's rich, it's crumbly, it's moist, it's got fresh blueberries in it, and it is sweet, and I'm having some right now, and
Okay.
I tell you, it goes
Now-
so good with coffee. And
Now, if you're
love
able
coffee.
to take a picture that we can put up on the socials, or if it's all gone, then we can take a picture of the crumbs.
all right, I should get a picture
it's dismemberment.
Yeah, I get a picture before I eat it, and
Oh, I like this. And he wasn't bluffing. He could have been, I've got a cake here, but there was nothing really there. But the man actually has a cake.
I've got snack envy. Damn it.
I assume you're giving this 2 thumbs up for this
He'd be in
cake.
trouble with his missus otherwise.
Well, the magic's happening there. S-Jubs, what you rocking?
Oh, Chief, I always try and push the boundaries on the show. You know me. My wife absolutely loves roasted sunflower seeds.
What, just to eat on their own?
They are spiced.
Okay.
Yeah. The instructions on the back say, edible method. Take a grain of cha-cha sunflower seeds. Put the seed to your mouth. Use your teeth to crack it. Eat the kernel and throw the shell.
Oh, I hate sunflower seeds, eating them like that. It's just a
Pal,
nightmare.
It's just such hard work.
Yeah.
For such a small morsel of seed. But look, these taste alright. It's so tedious, and you're always left with such a mess afterwards. But here we go. I'm gonna crack it.
Do it.
So you have to crack the outer layer,
Yes.
then peel it apart, and you're left with this teeny tiny little thing. Which you can then use your tongue to kind of dab it out.
How do you avoid getting that outer shell in your mouth?
Skill.
Okay, skill.
I'm 1 for 1. Let's make it 2 for 2. And of course, it's taken like 40 seconds to get 2 sunflower seeds in my mouth. But the flavor is nice. I'm not going to
Okay.
lie. Somehow they've managed to spice it in such a way that, it's
But
pleasant.
you probably can't buy these pre-shucked, can you?
Wouldn't that just be like what you'd get in the sort of like fruit, sort of nuts and dried fruit dispenser?
I don't know.
You kind of
maybe,
have a
maybe.
bag and you turn the dial and it would come out of the chute
Yeah,
into the
maybe.
bag. Yeah, you would put it on your muesli or something.
Yeah.
Sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, that sort of thing, if you just want to be super healthy.
Speaking of muesli, which obviously breakfast item, my kid, who just turned 5, has got a massive beef with me at breakfast
No, she doesn't.
time.
She's a vegetarian.
No, she is
Flexitarian.
she's a vegan-ish when she's at home, but
She likes
when
eggs.
she's at school, she's a carnivore. She hates vegetarian food. So when she's at
dear.
school having school dinners, she chooses the most meaty option she can have.
Wife
But,
doesn't allow plastic in the house, and Chief, to quote you, back to you, I like my stuff, baby.
And also, she has no idea that I've just bought a load of action figures, which are clearly plastic.
Yeah, she totally listens to the show as well.
Yeah, no.
Anyways, has the Burgosaurus managed to take his picture?
The Burginator.
I did. Yes, I took. Yes, after some angling and selfie positioning and trying to get a
cool.
copy of Cobra World Order in.
We'll source that off of him later. No, what I was saying is, my kid's beef with me is my breakfast item, because 2 of my favourite breakfast items, I've got fresh rhubarb growing in the garden, so I like to get the rhubarb, stew it down on the hob with some raisins, drizzle of honey, maybe some chopped up apple, and then put a nice big dollop of kind of coconut yogurt on top of that, and that is a nice breakfast item. Or I like to smashed up avocado on some multi-seed toast. And she deems neither of those items are breakfast items. So she basically said, I'm not allowed to eat those for breakfast anymore. She says they're lunch items. I'm like, God damn, they're not lunch items. They're clearly breakfast items. But anyway.
Evelyn is the boss of you. Hey, Burgie, it looks early doors for you, my brother. Your eyes are very tight. But the cake looks incredible.
Oh, the pictures come in. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's legit. It's real.
Wow.
Would you put
that
a
looks
dollop
good.
of cream on that bad boy?
I don't like cream so much in the morning, but it
Okay.
would taste delicious. If you are into that type of thing, you can do that. Yeah.
Looks
Very
good
good.
enough on its own. Like I say, snack envy. In about 5 minutes, I've eaten approximately 3 of these bloody things.
Let me get through this, Zach. So what I have is a bag of Lotto. It's just called Lotto Pizza, but it's actually some kind of potato chips or
Puffed
crisps.
snack.
Puffed snack. Normally it says
They're
on the
like
back
rings,
whether
aren't
it's,
they?
yeah, like onion rings, but it says whether it's maize or corn or potato. But oh man, I'm definitely tasting oregano.
Nice.
Not oregano, as some weirdos say. Oregano. Yeah. Oh, very salty.
Oh.
I've got a big bottle of Dr. Pepper to wash that down, though.
Chief, the Greeks would call it origami. Just for your information.
S-Jubs is still maintaining this myth that he's Greek, so... I've seen the passport. I've seen the passport, but you know what Photoshop
Fake-a-rooney.
can do. Yeah,
Indeed.
Yeah. I'm not buying it. I'm giving those 1 thumb up. What was your thumbage on the sunflower seeds?
0.
Oh dear me.
Yeah.
Oh dear me.
This is no good to anyone.
We better move on to comic talk. But before we do move on to comic talk, it's time for a G.I. Joe pop quiz. It's a G.I. Joe pop quiz, pop quiz. It's a G.I. Joe pop quiz, pop quiz. Question 1. Right, Burginator, you didn't know this was coming.
No, all right.
Okay, prepare yourself. It's late and you can't sleep. Your phone rings. It's your buddy telling you he knows about something cool that's going down. He picks you up in his Thunderhawk red Chevy Camaro, and you end up downtown where a crowd of people are eagerly awaiting the start of a planned street race. Who is your money on to get to the finish line first in this do-or-die event? Is it Roadblock in his 1959 Miller Meteor Ecto 1? Is it Tripwire in the Knight Rider 1982 Pontiac Trans Am? Is it Buzzer, Ripper and Torch in the Mystery Machine? Or is it Firefly in the Mutz Cuts Ford Ecoline?
Oh, I'm surprised that Clutch is not in there.
Too obvious.
Too obvious. Too easy.
Roadblock in the Ecto 1, Tripwire in Kit, Buzzer, Ripper, Torch in the Mystery Machine, or Firefly in the Mutz Cuts.
I gotta go with Tripwire because I just think that Kit was probably the fastest vehicle there. But I think Dreadnoks in the Mystery Machine would be pretty hilarious to watch.
I want to see that race, that's all I know.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay, ding, ding, ding.
Although I don't know what Tripwire's driving skills are like. He's a pretty clumsy guy, right?
Well, I put the clumsy driver in the best vehicle to offset, so...
Yes. No, that's good. So then maybe Firefly is our... Or maybe it's just Roadblock.
Maybe it's a 4-way collision and no one gets to the finish line.
Go with the Joes.
Okay.
But Roadblock, you don't see Roadblock driving very often.
No, interesting.
He's usually manning the gun in the vehicle, and if they're in one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, now it is time to go to the Comic Talk, so roll that jingle, Comic Talk. It's Comic Talk, baby. Chief and Steve discussing like crazy. Larry Harmer riding these bad boys, making sense of the wackiest toys. Listen as we talk about story arcs, making noise louder than Junkyard Box, talking about character motivations and all the various G.I. Joe fun locations.
Comic talk. Ooh,
So let's just
comic
recap.
talk.
This week we are covering issues, 220 to 222.
Affirmative.
Let's just have a
Burginator.
quick look at the covers. I've got on my issue, I've got the Franco Francavilla cover with, it's kind of the yin yang with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow.
Storm Shadow's a Cobra again?
Yeah, where'd that Cobra logo come from?
I was like, what? Something's going down in this issue.
Yes.
It doesn't
yes.
actually happen though.
Right.
Boo.
There is also
Yeah.
a retailer incentive or subscription cover, which is the toy cover, and
By Adam Riches.
who is it? Bazooka Soldier.
It's Zap. Yeah,
Zap,
I've got
yeah.
that one. And,
Oh, you've got that one. Cool.
Yep, it's beautiful. Yeah, I've got a lot of those variants.
Yeah, very nice.
I've had the pleasure of meeting Adam Riches, actually.
Oh,
Wonderful guy. Does a lot of co-hosting with Diagnostic Eddie over on Full Force podcast. And what I will say about this cover, while he has faithfully reproduced a carded Zap, using photography, I guess, he has added the pencil moustache to Zap.
Oh yeah.
Because famously, the original 13 Zap figurine didn't have a distinguishing feature. He had a shared head sculpt with Grunt and I think it was Grand Slam as well. But Adams added the tash, which is a nice touch.
That is a beautiful touch. And yeah, shout out Adam Riches, like incredible artist, and he's done so much great Joe art over the years that we've all seen. So yeah, big shout out to Adam.
Yeah, very cool. Next issue, 221. I've got on my issue, I've got the regular cover. It's the Phil Jimenez connecting
The wraparound.
Or
no,
not
I
wraparound.
suppose,
Three
the
connecting
wallpaper.
covers. It's the middle piece, I guess,
That's
is it? With Destro front and center, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and then loads of other shiz going down in the foreground.
Damn, Recondo and Muskrat.
Yeah, look at Recondo just
Incredible.
jumping, love it.
Can
and
we
Muskrat,
talk
yeah.
about how great this cover is
And
why?
Shipwreck is choking someone out. Love it.
And there's a Frag Viper on here, or Range Viper. You got
Viper.
Big Boa. You got it's Crocmaster. Like this is IDW. If anyone from IDW is listening, out of all the art they've done, and there's so much great art, they need to do this poster.
Oh,
The
man.
interconnecting covers of this with Zartan and Serpentor and everything, like it is so beautiful. It's one of the best art pieces that IDW has cranked out for G.I. Joe,
it's
hands
fantastic.
down. And it is a total shame and a complete oversight that they have not put it out as a poster. So, this is crazy. Maybe we can talk to Carson at 3D Joe's and see if he can,
Ooh.
call in some people and see if they can do like a poster release of this, because
Yes.
Phil Jimenez is known for all his DC work and doing those, like George Perez.
He did Wonder Woman, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and just cramming all these characters in. When have you ever seen, Range Viper, Big Boa, Crocmaster, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Destro, Recondo, Muskrat, Cobra Commander, Shipwreck, choking out a dude like Flint, Stalker, Xandar's in here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just one cover.
Xandar?
Yeah, in the
Who's
bottom
that?
left-hand corner.
We had a gag on a previous episode saying that Xandar is never in any of the comics, but he does crop
I
up.
thought that was
Xandar.
Tunnel Rat,
Poor
to be honest,
Xandar.
Burgie. I thought
Yeah.
it was Tunnel Rat, but yeah, you're right.
I think
Xandar.
it's Xandar because
it's
he's got the
pink,
pink going on. Yeah, but maybe Tunnel Rat. Maybe it's variant Tunnel Rat. Hey, look, it's like 90s Saved by the Bell variant Tunnel Rat.
No, man, his do-rag is in pink for breast cancer awareness, man.
Oh my
That's what it is. Guys, who is the ninja character in the background taking a dirt nap? Who is that?
Okay, which you're looking in the
Just laying down behind Destro.
Well, in front of Destro, but in front of
Yeah,
Snake Eyes and
who is
Storm
that?
Shadow. Who's that? Like, there's a
hard-
story, there's a plot line to this cover that I'm not.
You guys got to get Phil Jimenez on this podcast. Oh, I just
Totally.
found Crazy Legs in here.
Yeah, he's bottom right, isn't he? Yeah.
Like, guys, this needs to be a poster. Can we start a petition? Can we do something? Like, Phil Jimenez is just, he nailed this. It's so good.
I'm really upset that, in a way, that it wasn't kind of a gatefold cover that could kind of fold out rather than it being three interconnected. But I don't know. Maybe that's how you sell more books. But
This is my new mission in life, to get this made into a poster somehow.
well, again, that's another pledge that I'll do if anyone can get that up and running. So there's the other Adam Riches, the Scarlet cover as well, and then there's a couple of Snow Job variants.
Yes, and again, no shade on any of the other artists who did covers, but this full, wrap around. I think it spanned 4 issues, right? Because there's
think it was
the Prelude
3.
cover. Well, there's Prelude, then it's on part 3, part 4, and then... Oh, yeah, maybe it is just 3.
It's just 3, yeah.
It's interesting who they chose, Serpentor, Zartan, and Destro, to be the main figures on those 3 covers.
Yeah.
And now looking at it, Xandar is actually on
Oh,
twice, because he's on 222.
You could be right, S-Jubs, because now I've flicked forward to 222, and I am looking at the one that you're on, Burginator. This is the right-hand side of the Phil Jimenez cover, gatefold connected, and yes, Xandar is on Zartan's left.
So maybe that is Tunnel Rat.
If I had a buck for every time I heard you say you could be right, Steve, I'd have about 750.
Yeah, so maybe it was just the lighting effect on
Telling you guys,
Tunnel
breast
Rat's
cancer
do-rag.
awareness. He's a
I
very
love that.
conscientious cat. Yeah, he models after Homer.
Who is going to be the first person to customize that?
Yeah.
I think you need to commission that, Steve. Breast Cancer Awareness Tunnel Rat.
Nice, rocking the pink. It ain't Xandar, baby. It's T-Rat.
Who is the character on this 2221? Is that Fast Draw? No, who is kind of by Zartan's knee? Just
It's Jeb's got a name, the Joes.
yeah. there's a
Oh, on
jingle for that.
222, you mean?
222, yeah, to the right of Firefly's head.
Yeah, that would be Blowtorch, right?
Blowtorch. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
yeah, is that flamethrower?
It is.
That's in.
Guys, this is so fun. I feel like we're like kids in the comic store. Like, just, who's that? Who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Oh, totally is. Oh, man. And have you checked out the Rocketeer? Bottom left.
Oh yeah, yeah. Is that a nullifier?
No, actually, it was the included driver from the Maggot. Guy
Right.
called Worms.
Worms.
That's it,
Very
yeah.
good. Nice, Berg.
And who's the one to the right of Zorana? This makes great radio. Who's the one to the right of Zorana?
Check the socials, y'all. Check the socials.
Who's kind of throwing his head back, being electrocuted, or no, there's an explosion behind him. That could be anyone, couldn't it?
It could be anyone. That's a really tough call. But the armor,
That's the Winter Soldier.
maybe it's Star Viper returning to Earth. Although
yeah.
he's a bit thick for Star Viper. Maybe he's Robo Joe. He's kind of got those shoulder pads.
He's not thick enough to be Robo Joe. Man, that guy was clunky. Chief, of course, is completely in the dark, I'm afraid, Burgie.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know anything.
Robo
There.
what?
Do you
Yeah,
see above? You see who's above Zartan, though?
Raptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raptor.
Sweet.
Like, when have you seen these characters on a cover together? It's amazing.
You haven't seen Raptor for very good reason. He's dead.
This
He's
is
in
true.
he's in the tanker, is he?
The landlocked freighter, yeah.
And who is that underneath? Last one. Who's that underneath Zartan's feet? Is that Leatherneck? Who is?
I would guess Leatherneck, yeah.
What I want to know is, what is Zartan doing to Leatherneck? What is going down on this cover?
He's just been photoshopped over him. I mean, let's be honest.
I should bloody well hope so. I wouldn't like to witness this act.
Let's dig into the meat of these issues, and before we do that, what we need is a recap. So, last time on A Real American Hero, Hawk, teaming up with Special Forces teams around the globe, continues to investigate the Revanche Corporation and its alliance with Cobra. Meanwhile, Zartan brings together Cobra's many free agents, and Destro makes a deal with Cobra Commander. Okay. Regular listeners will know me and S-Jubs, myself and S-Jubs, have been a bit down on recent issues. We feel that Larry's a little bit phoning it in. But for me personally, these threes were a marked improvement. It was definitely an upward grade here on what was going down. It just felt there was more purpose, there was more characterization, more Joes acting like Joes. And I had a good time with these three issues.
We don't ever really plot out, well, we don't anymore at least, exactly where the prescribed reading leaves us. But I can't help but feel a little bit down for Burgie, because it feels like these three issues are like building to the payoff that comes in the following issue. You know what I mean? It's like the forces have been diametrically opposed on the chessboard and they're ready to strike. The battle is about to begin. And then it's like it's to be continued.
Yes.
So basically, Burganetta, I hope you read ahead when you did your reread last night.
Or if Burgonator's free next week and he wants to come back on to finish off this storyline.
I have read
Hint,
this all
hint.
before, and I have them all in a long box together. So I read the issues leading up to it, and I reread all of these issues. So don't feel bad for me. I'm good.
Okay, what we will do though is when we cover the final three parts of this storyline next week, we'll hit up Burgie on the socials to get his. We do a Yojo Cola out of 10, how we rank each storyline. So we will get your Yojo Cola rating for Cobra World Order.
Okay.
Sounds
So
good.
we'll do that
Sounds
next week. But straight off the bat, this is kind of alluding to something we haven't really seen in Joe Comics for a while, some kind of personal crisis, because people are worried about Duke and is he going to be okay? And you're kind of led to think, oh, what's going on here? And it was a real curveball when they introduce his wife to the storyline, because, like I say, we haven't really peered behind the curtain or got into the personal lives of Joe's too much. outside of the ninja guys, really. So this was a really welcome addition, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting because there was another storyline with Duke happening in a different IDW series around the same time. I think it was the Travis series, and Duke, and there
yes.
was a storyline with Duke and his wife or girlfriend happening as well. I remember there being like some strange parallels that why are we getting these two different stories around Duke's life? But I actually really enjoyed this Duke storyline. I have a lot of thoughts about this issue.
Yeah.
First of all, like you're saying, I mean, yeah, the IDW run that Larry's been doing, listen, it's fantastic, but I remember when Cobra World Order started, I just felt this renewed energy coming back, getting excited again, thinking back to like the classic, stuff like Cobra Civil War in the old Marvel run, where you would just have all these characters, they're all getting together and people are popping up. And this is what I love. Like, the Blue Ninjas, the revanched storyline, it was okay for like a little like bits and pieces here, but I do feel like it was just overkill, and not the Bat Leader Commander overkill. I'm talking like it just got to be too much. And my biggest issue was there are so many underdeveloped characters in the Cobra G.I. Joe mythology that, I mean, Larry always focused on this great group and would bring in new characters here and there and develop them a bit. But there's so many characters that we didn't get to learn more about. Like, Copperhead, who shows up in this issue. Like, you could pick so many different names. So why introduce this whole new, these new characters, these blue ninjas that nobody really cares about? I'm reading these comics for so long. I'm like, I finally want to get some answers on these other characters that I never got to learn that much about. Or like, let's see what the Techno Vipers, like what's their life like. So anytime I see blue ninjas, I'm kind of like, oh, it's kind of cringeworthy. You've got a lot of other great toys to play with in the box.
Oh, I want a Techno Viper miniseries now.
But I will say this issue, bringing out, there's the Duke storyline, which is fantastic. We go back to Canada, and there's Fournier is here. And if you remember Fournier in the RCMP issue of the Marvel run, and if you read the floppies, I don't know if it's in the, it's probably not, I don't know if it's in the digital version, and it's probably not in the trade paperbacks. But Postbox The Pit is really one of the best reasons to get the single issues, because you get the letters page at the back with Larry's responses.
Yes.
And I think it was in the previous issue, there's a letter asking if the RCMP officer named Fournier in this run is any relation to the RCMP officer named Fournier from the Marvel run. And Larry just flat out answers, no. So I don't know if he was just sort of joking or if it was almost like, that's too obvious. Or if every RCMP officer in Canada is named Fournier. I certainly haven't met any. Of all the RCMP officers I've met, I haven't met any Fourniers.
Okay. But when that guy opens the box, man, that panel that Gallant's drawn there, sorry to cut you off, but I'm looking at that page, and they've broken open the crate, and this Blue Ninja's come out with this kind of electro whip, and it's just torn this guy right in half, right across the midriff. It's it's brutal.
And this is a good use of Blue Ninjas, and it's fun, and I get we needed another organization to fight Destro and Cobra Commander and everything. But shout out Gallant. Like, oh my God, like SL Gallant is just killing it. I did want to make a quick note. This is something that has been recurring in all of Joe media forever, and I love to see it represented here. There's a panel with Firefly, Copperhead, and Scrap Iron, and yes, they came out at the same time in the toy line, and I always love, and I've always sort of associated these characters as being this tight, weird little group, right? Because they are kind of those solo Cobra guys.
Yep.
And Scrap Iron is very important, at least to me, in sort of the G.I. Joe universe, because he's the Cobra that got away with murder and has still not paid his dues. I don't know. Have you guys talked about that before?
Not really. No. Well, no, because he changed the course of kind of history in the universe, didn't he? By exploding that rocket into the car. And you're right. That's we've definitely never
been addressed, man.
No.
Bongo the Balloon Bear.
Yeah. Softmaster.
Billy.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, Scrap Iron's never had his comeuppance. No one has ever followed up on this. Right. I don't know why. That's one of these weird little plot lines that throughout Joe history, I'm like, why has no one ever called attention to the fact that Scrap Iron is a cold-blooded killer, man?
And look at him in that panel, the one where they've opened the doors. He looks, I don't want to say cool because he's a murderer, but he's got a good look to him, and that could definitely be a recognisable, character that could have a storyline going for him because...
You could do a whole story about him, man. You could do a whole who is Scrap Iron? Give me a whole issue about Scrap Iron. Give me a whole issue about Copperhead. Don't waste time on Blue Ninjas. Give me a whole issue about Crocmaster, they did in the Cobra run with IDW.
That was great.
You know what I mean? Those are the kinds of things, because Larry wrote these file cards. He knows who these characters are. Give me shout out, Steve, I know you're in Australia now. You want to know more about Skymate? Give me a Skymate issue. You've got
why
this.
does he wear a hot pink trucker cap? Why? What possesses a man to do that?
Look, they took the photo, and his action figure was based on the photo, and the photo was from his Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
There you go,
baby.
I
happened to be wearing my pink hat that day. What color's his boomerang? Doesn't he have a boomerang?
Yeah, hot pink as well. My goodness. We're rolling deep now, Burgie.
We're going so deep. I'm sorry. Last note. Speaking of Air Commandos,
yeah,
shout out SL Gallant again, because Spirit shows up wearing his Air Commandos bandana.
I love that sequence, and the bandana is the cherry on the top. It's fantastic.
I'm telling you guys, this is what I want in a Joe comic. I'm just getting fully energized. We're seeing all these groups of characters hanging out. I love when you mix and match guys hanging out. And does Dogfight show up? Dogfight shows up in one of these issues too, and I was like, Dogfight!
He's in a tower or something, isn't he?
Yeah, the Mud Fighter pilot.
yeah.
Wild Bill Light.
Yeah. I'll echo the love for that Spirit scene, because it didn't need to be in the book at all. But it's not wasted pages. It's, we're delving into Duke's past, and now we're getting even more insight just in 2 pages into Spirit, that these are his adoptive parents. I love, my favourite bit is where his dad comes in. He's like, sorry about the blood. I just came off a 4-hour brain surgery and was too beat to change before I came home from the hospital. He's got brain matter splattered all over his top, and, well, probably not brain matter, but he's just in his work duds covered in blood. Outback's like, yeah, don't worry about it, whatever.
So nice that Outback and Spirit are like buds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both like men of the wilds, They are kind of survivalists at their core. They probably connect over just the great outdoors, which is so wonderful. Nice to see these relationships and who are natural counterparts to one another in the team.
Totally.
Yeah, I love where he says, what's this about you being a shaman or a shaman? I was like, oh yeah, cool. That's a storyline waiting to happen as well.
So we've got an inside scoop from Shannon Gallant that he loves Spirit. And he would work him in as much as possible. So maybe there's some cross-pollination. Larry was like, okay, let's add some strings to Spirit's bow, finally. Get some backstory on this guy that, yes, his folks were poor, they died young, hence he was adopted. Wow, we're getting a lovely info dump on just, who he is.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which has been kind of percolating for so long.
I must mention this because it's been one of your gripes for a long time since the introduction of this pit. Steve, the launch ramp for the Sky Striker. Happy with this scene or not?
Still have no idea how it actually functions, but I suppose it literally, the jet is readied below the ground level. That ramp kind of pops up, and then the jet kind of shoots up this steep ramp. Now, there are similar launch procedures on shorter, smaller aircraft carriers. They have got a bit of a ramp, but I don't know if they're launching something like a Sky Striker. I don't know, I'm sweating the technicals, but I really don't need to, because it's a comic book, and these are toys that have Springfire missile launchers.
This is true. This is true.
So, Springfire Sky Striker.
I'll tell you what is quite weird. You mentioned in earlier, Burginator, that your name is kind of an amalgamation of different podcasts and different hosts on this show, etc.
I'm sure he was around before us, buddy.
G.I. Joe Berg and S. Jubs, because I'm S.J. Word Burglar Berg. I'm Burg on all the old G.I. Joe forms. I was Burg.
The point was, another weird coincidence is we flicker forward a few pages from the Sky Striker, and there's some guys on a recon mission, and it just so happens that there's Ambush and Rampart, and on an episode of Chief's Toy Box recently, we covered the fact that I pulled two figures out of my box that were actually Ambush and Rampart, and I think S-Jubs, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're both complete as well.
Whew.
I think I managed to
Chief.
match up all their weapons, didn't I?
Cash dollar monies, baby.
I love those figures. Man, for years and years, I was going off on collectors who would tell me, oh, I stopped collecting at 86, man. I'm like, but if you stop at 86, not only are you missing so many great figures, but you're ignoring 90. 1990 is phenomenal. And when you've got like Rampart, right? You've got Ambush, Stretcher, I don't know. Free Fall is incredible. I know they're all kind of updates of previous specialties that were already on the team. You know, you already had like, a paratrooper or whatever. But I mean, what is Ambush? He's like concealment specialist.
Oh, yeah. Came with actual soft goods, Ghillie
Yeah.
suit.
Oh my God. Like it's 90s great. Stretcher. I mean, these are characters again. I want to know more about, these guys. Stretcher.
We've only just gotten to grips with the fact that Duke has a wife. I mean, and Duke is like top tier G.I. Joe character.
Yeah, you're not getting Stretcher or Ambush at all.
So, yeah, we got a ways to wait before Stretcher gets his day.
So I'm not going to get Updraft's origin story to like issue 800 or something.
Oh, damn.
I don't even know who that is, but I'm going to say yeah. Gallant has worked in another. Well, I suppose Larry's scripted it, but Gallant has worked in another one of my favourites, which is Cobra Commander Shooting Gallery. I'm going to compile, actually. I'm going to go back through all the issues and compile a little collage of all the times we've seen Cobra Commander shooting Joes, which are normally kind of cardboard or wooden things. But here he's actually got, looks like stone statues as he's had sculpted.
Is he bisecting Throwdown? Pre-burn?
Don't know, just looks...
Or is that Falcon? Maybe Falcon with a silenced pistol. I don't know. I'm sweating the details again.
Love Cobra Commander just shooting statues of Joes. Love it.
Oh, yeah, that's... like, again, whenever Larry writes Cobra Commander, he's just, like, in his head so perfectly. I wonder if Larry is Cobra Commander. It's just, like, a guy walks into his office, he's just shooting stuff. It's like, what? Make it, better make it important.
Shooting stuff and dropping quotes from Shakespeare and Milton.
Have we got a flub here? Because Hawk, after he's out of Toronto, next time we see him, is he not on a boat in a Southampton dock in the UK? But
he's all over the shop.
When he leaves, there's a great panel here where he's had the combat with Blue Ninja, and he's put the gun right up the Blue Ninja's under his chin and blasted through his head. That panel's brilliant.
Oh, that's Fournier. She's the one with the pistol. I think.
Okay, all right.
Hawk
Oh yes,
empties
he's
his...
tackled the Blue Ninja. Sorry. Yeah, but then at the end of it, he says, "I have to get back to Utah ASAP." So I assume he's on his way back to Utah, but next we see him, is it in the next issue, he's actually on a ship in England.
Yeah, you're right. There's a bit of that, Chief. Like, a lot of people seem to be in two places at once. Like, Roadblock is in the pit, then he's in the Everglades checking out the Dreadnoks, and then he's back in the pit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to give yourself a bit of advice that I need to take heed of, and it's like, don't sweat the deets, man.
Don't sweat the beats.
Yeah, I was wondering because and then the briefing that was happening where people are like, we've already jumped issue 2. What are we on? 2?
Oh, sorry, it's not in the Everglades, it's in the Jersey marshes. I need to get my geography straight if I'm going to nitpick.
Yes.
But yeah, they're checking out the Dreadnoks being attacked by a Cobra hit squad in 221.
What is that helicopter that Destra and Baroness arrive in?
It's called the Kamov Ka-52 Alligator.
Okay,
So
of course it
Soviet Union... Well, no, not Soviet Union. It's post-fall of the Soviet Union Russian attack helicopter.
Nice to see these guys rocking up. It looks better, him coming up in that rather than his... What's that little thing he used to ride in?
AGP. His the despoiler.
The despoiler, yeah.
You always need to say it in a Spanish accent. Despoiler.
And to this day, I don't think I've ever found out what despoiling something means.
He minted that word, man. Destra's a wordsmith just like you were, Burgie.
Well, that's probably, I got it all. I mean, I'm probably just, influenced by Cobra my whole life.
Maybe
so,
you're
yeah.
Destro, yeah. And the reveal on the last page of that first issue, where she says, "Oh, Connie, I've missed you so much." It was, a real shot out of the blue kind of thing, and even just her calling him Connie is just so out of type, which was a really nice touch, I thought.
She's looking good, man, for, what is it, like 3 decades in captivity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see Shmi Skywalker.
Right.
Oh, man, that's a deep cut, man.
Sure.
That's good. Yeah, maybe she was in some kind of cryo chamber or something. Who knows?
Totally.
Granny is still putting bricks in a Prada handbag. This time they're Acme bricks, which is nice.
Are we jumping to the next issue?
No,
or?
sorry, that was in this one we've just done.
Oh,
but,
yeah, sorry.
I was just flicking back through. We kind of jump all over the place on this show, so we'll try and maintain a bit of semblance of order. But a lot of setup in that one, because what we noticed in the first 2 parts of Cobra World Order, a lot of progression in this one. There was a lot of setup in the first 2 issues that didn't feel like it was very slow paced. But here, Larry and Gallant have crammed in so much story and just nuggets and things to pore over that it just felt like the best issue we've had in a long time. Really enjoyed that issue.
Agreed. Great issue.
Yeah, and that carries forward into the next one where we see more characters cropping up that we haven't seen in a long time. But I do notice that Xandar has been dropped already, because he did appear very briefly, I think, in 1 or 2 panels, not last issue in 221, but in an issue before that. But he's already, I don't think he appears in any of these issues here, does he? So it was well known that Larry didn't like Xandar.
Nah, he's just playing him true to type.
Right,
He's the character that nobody ever remembers.
He's in every panel, but we just can't see him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny. It's like the Ghost Fighter pilot, right?
Yeah.
These weird little eccentricities, I guess might be the word, for Xandar's the guy everybody forgets about, and, the Phantom pilot is the guy everyone forgets what his name is. I love that he can maintain those funny little picadillos, if you will.
Yeah, that's it. First time we've maybe seen Wild Bill with not his hat on when he goes to visit Claire and Connie in where are they? They're in Joint Base Andrews, and Wild Bill's kind of got his hat off, which is nice to see rather than having the characters appear the same every time. I thought it was a nice little touch.
Absolutely, yeah, it is, and they make a point of really making him having his hat off in the foreground, right? Gallant's doing a great job. His storytelling is fantastic.
I don't know if you guys know Dave Tree and Russ Sheath, but they're both UK Joe dudes, and they both get name dropped in this issue. So I guess maybe Larry wanted to work them in. He probably came off the back of a convention in the United Kingdom, and so worked them into the book. Sergeant Tree gets name dropped, and we've already been introduced to Russ Sheath. Yeah, so that's what that was all about, just in case anyone was wondering.
I thought that was a tribute to Russ Heath, the comic
so
artist.
Did we, but turns out Russ Sheath is a different guy, and yeah, man, if Diagnostic was on the show, he'd be able to tell us exactly these guys' resumes. But I do know that they're in deep with G.I. Joe, and they've been contributors to generalsjoes.com, amongst many other forums and other sort of Joe.
For sure,
Joe
yeah,
hangouts.
Dave Tree, for sure, I've been in touch with. He's awesome, and I'm sure Russ is as well. Shout out Diagnostic 80, for sure. I'm also on Full Force, which should be dropping. The new episode will be dropping soon, I think, where we do another little thing together. So big shout out to Diagnostic. Does so much awesome stuff.
Yeah, well, he co-hosted, 40 plus episodes of Talking Joe. So
it's a great network of all these Joe fans.
Yeah.
I think we've all come together as cool team members. It's almost like we were inspired by G.I. Joe or something.
But we're all just a bunch of communications experts.
It's true.
Damn, man, we're the field ops.
Yeah, I mean, it's how Breaker felt when Mainframe showed up. He's like, guys,
I'm already here, man.
dial tone. Yeah.
How do you feel about Cobra Commander really getting in Black Major's face and kind of pointing his finger? Because, I don't know, I know they're not kind of equals, but Black Major I don't know. He kind of just struck me as someone who wouldn't let that happen. I'm not sure. I don't know. Or does it sit okay with you guys?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I like that Cobra Commander is just like, listen, I'm the original leader of a terrorist organization that is the main enemy of G.I. Joe, and I'm going to tell you what's what. Black Major, I'm sorry, my familiarity with him is not as much because I didn't grow up in the UK, but I have read some of those comics and stuff, and yeah, I mean, he was more like cold and heartless, right? Like Cobra Commander has this strange, hilarious zest to the way he does things. I always thought Black Major was a bit more serious. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. Yeah, I am uncertain about Cobra Commander's knowledge of chess, though. I am absolutely no chess expert, but he says you win by planning the 50 moves ahead. Now, again, I'm no expert, but I'm not sure chess lasts 50 moves. Does it per person or not? I don't know.
Chess wasn't my game.
I anticipated it being much shorter than that, but I think by
I'm
50 moves the game will well be over. But so chess experts that are listening, let me know and correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you how excited I was, though, to see Heat Vipers and Night Vipers and Red Shadows just running? It's just cool to see that. As you got like Sneak Peek and Roadblock and Long Range just stalking it's amazing, long range with the night scope going on. Again, that's why this is what it's about, mixing and matching all these characters, and it's like, yeah, they're the Joe team, so who's going to be out at night? Sneak Peek and Long Range. And then Roadblock, I mean, I guess he doesn't need to be there, but it's always good to have Roadblock along.
Yeah.
Chief, the average number of moves in a chess game played by humans is around 40. That's the average.
Okay.
So, Cobra Commander's playing a slightly longer game.
That's fine. I shall let him off.
Against snake robots.
Yeah, man. Oh, and my favorite little flub about the Heat Viper sneaks in, that he's been recast as a flamethrower and not an anti-tank trooper. You check it, he's like...
So when he's departing out the truck, he's got flame coming out of his weapon, yeah.
Yeah, so, taking the word on face value, heat, as in, heat.
Rather than high explosive.
Instead of it being a high explosive anti-tank.
Yeah.
Yes, the acronym. Good catch, man. I know, they should have brought in Incinerator for that.
Good catch, Burgie. Yeah, dude. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
That's when you need a Cobra flamethrower, you get Incinerator.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another 90s G.I. Joe figure that is often snubbed.
I got mad love for the 90s, too. I love every era, man, except G.I. Joe Extreme. Sorry. Although I did like Sergeant Savage, but yeah, we don't need to get into that now. Although G.I. Joe Extreme Dark Horse comics, they're actually pretty good, if you can find them.
Yeah, I've got the 2 4-issue miniseries in a long box just over in the corner of the room, so...
There's a backup story in that's like I remember it being one of the darkest G.I. Joe comics I'd ever read prior to the IDW stuff. In that the Dark Horse, I think... I want to say Frank Thierry wrote it, or Mark Teixeira drew it. There's someone with the T name. I forget the artist, but if you're looking through those, check out the backup stories.
Okay, S-Jubs, that's a side project. We'll review those 8 issues, I think.
Now, I haven't read them since they came out, so maybe they suck. But
I'll let you know after.
I'll have to dig them up too.
The damn cartoon has got the very catchy tune. Yeah, audio drop right there.
Boom.
Situation critical. Roll call! Ballistic! Harpoon!
Mayday!
Black Dragon! Sergeant Savage! Quick Sight! Melvin! Right! Lieutenant Stone!
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
And that's the way we like it!
Guys, there's a great vehicle shot. You know me, I love me a vehicle shot.
Man.
Can anyone here name the vehicles on
we go.
display?
Name the vehicle. I said Burgie's gotta name the vehicle. Is there a clue that might be meaningful? Maybe the paint job is strategical. Do I spy a tricked out tricycle?
A long turret that is typical. Burgie needs to ID the vehicle by waxing lyrical. Unlike Larry, we won't be too critical. Can Burgie name the vehicle? Name them.
Oh, at the base here?
Yeah, 2 days later.
Well, you've got, is it the Hammerhead, that first one on the left? Not the Hammerhead, the Hammer, right? It's just the Hammer?
Nice.
That's, oh man, great vehicle. Wow, this is a good trivia.
1990 as well.
Yeah, then you've got the Mobat, then you've got the Mauler, then you've got the Mean Dog, then you've got a variation of, it looks like, is that long? That's not Long Range's. That's, what's it called?
Rolling Thunder, I think.
Rolling Thunder, Wolverine, Havoc, and at the very end snuck in...
Is that a Tiger Force version of a Snowcat?
Yep, affirmative. It is the Tiger Cat.
Tiger
Ding, ding,
Cat.
ding. Full marks,
Amazing. And then the APC in the background.
I'm going to say that's just a two-ton truck.
Yeah, I think the
You
front
are-
of it is not sloped enough.
Man, I love this. I am rolling with some Joe pros right now. You're right. I
not
gotta
me.
like put my glasses on. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That is just a truck.
Something that G.I. Joe sorely needed. They needed something kind of mundane like that. But I'm also going to point out the fact that something that Jim Brown, the colorist, often gets wrong is he swaps the colors on the Mobat and the Mauler, but not true of this panel. The Mobat is in green and the Mauler is in tan.
That's a great
well
panel,
done, Mr.
man.
Brown.
That is a great panel.
Yeah, I'm going to call upon you guys in a couple of pages later.
Okay.
And you can report to me whether or not he got it right or wrong.
Oh, well,
I am loving your attention to detail, guys. This is phenomenal. This is like how I read a comic in my head, except you guys are just covering it so well.
Oh, thanks, Burgie. Picker of nits is what I do.
yeah. Picking peanuts out of poo. He loves it. Now, this is all good stuff. You know, Larry's flicking between the scenes well. There doesn't seem to be too many jump cuts that are too startling. Everything seems to have a purpose. You know, we don't know what Fred is. Oh, there's that scene where Fred has got the, or was it in the previous one? I think it was in the previous issue.
Dude, I'm freaking out about that stuff.
where Codine's
This
got
Fred
him
who
in,
has his sort of, I don't know, his fake wife and daughter threatening to kill him all the time.
Sights, yeah.
It's bizarre. Are they playing it for laughs? They're like having a scene in the car, like, you better go through with it, ha ha ha. Otherwise, you'll be, you have your medulla oblongata split by a boat tail slug. Like, what?
I think that's just dark humor for these guys, yeah.
But it's not a joke. They really mean to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, hardcore.
Yeah, plenty
They're
of
a bunch of
intrigue.
psychopaths.
Yeah.
Just getting on with my day. My wife and daughter might just plug me at any given turn. I would bolt. I don't know. I would run away from that situation, but that's just me.
And a really nice scene. I've flicked forward a couple of pages. We get the bit where Wendy Torres has been kind of kidnapped. Fred has left her in the clutches of not just Scrap Iron, Firefly and Copperhead, but now, of course, Dr. Venom. So...
I mean, Dr. Mindbender.
Dr. Mindbender. Oh, yeah, what did I say? Yeah, Dr. Mindbender.
And the brainwave scanner, which I thought he had destroyed. But hey, that was ancient history now.
Oh, there's multiple ones running
He
around
has
here.
Dr. Venom's memories at this point, right?
Dr. Venom, did he? Yeah, maybe there was some hangover. I mean, it was Billy who had the Dr. Venom consciousness.
Yes.
And then I think, you're right. Dr. Mindbender had these kind of visions of Dr. Venom saying, you're going to follow in my footsteps, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that happened. Yeah, I think it happened in the issues before this, but
Right.
again, it's been a while. Like I was reading these as they came out, and many I have not revisited since the week I picked them up at the comic shop.
Right.
I've almost lost you, Burgie.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, no, I had my mic raised up. I've got,
Coffee.
you know what?
You had a drink.
Yeah, I've kind of got like this hat mic combo, kind of like Dodger from Battle Force 2000, right? And
Well-
I just flipped it up to have a sip of coffee.
Funny you should mention Battle Force 2000 because Bart over on the Facebook group is saying how come there is nothing, no album or anything dedicated to Battle Force 2000 because clearly that is the greatest subgroup.
Well, I mean, I could go on and on about all the other songs that I have half started and want to do, and yes, Battle Force 2000 will get their due, hopefully. one day.
Okay, interesting. Hot off the press.
Among many others.
Oh, do you have an idea, a concept? Are they kind of coming back from the dead? Are they ghosts in Dodge's subconsciousness, just like Dr. Venom?
No,
You
Amazing.
saved us, Dodger, but you were dodging. I'm not the rapper, clearly. Come on,
Not
Burgie,
quite.
give us a freestyle.
well, I have an angle in on Battle Force 2000 that I'd like to explore at some point. Like, there's a lot of like weird little things. I mean, we won't go off top. We can save that for another time. But yeah, there's a lot of stories I'd like to explore that I don't know. I just weird stuff I think about, and kind of like how that I Don't Want to Go to Cobra La song came about, right? Just like, what is the angle here that would kind of make sense and fit within the media and continuity that does not change or alter anything? It just kind of is like sandwiched in like a little, like one of those half or 0.5 issues where it's like, oh, here's a little something that was happening behind the scenes that you didn't know about. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm fascinated with.
Yep.
Like who's designing all the uniforms?
Yeah, digging in the weeds. That's where all the good stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we feel about, and because this, I'm trying to think about now, how many times Roadblock and Duke have been on missions together. I can't think of how many off the top of my head, but, this emotional scene where, Roadblock gives him the big hug, and I love the way that Gallant's drawn the proportions here. Roadblock's a big guy, and he's kind of leaning over, hunched over with these big arms and his big hands, kind of almost squeezing Duke in that final panel with just kind of the jet black outlines. Just the composition of that panel is just fantastic, and Duke is welling up in the panel before. A lot going on here, and throughout this issue and the previous one, hints to a backstory between these guys. They both joined Joe at the same time, but we haven't really seen what's happened before they joined Joe, but we get kind of drops of nuggets of dialogue to suggest people are asking what was Duke like before this, and so much going on, and really well done.
Agreed, man. Nice design choice with that little bar of sky just encircled by the black. Very cool. It's like that's what your vision is when you're being smothered by Roadblock in a hug.
But these guys are clearly sort of besties. They've been through stuff before they even got to Joe.
Well, I always love those stories, right? And when they bring that back, like how Duke and Roadblock used to know each other, right? The same way Stalker and Snake Eyes knew each other.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
and all these connections here and there, right? And like, Hawk met Snake Eyes before G.I. Joe, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's fantastic. But Roadblock, he's not pissing about here. He wants to get these sumbitches, and he all but says it in the word balloon. But he's got revenge on his mind for what happened we're talking about Claire, and he wants those scumbags that took her hostage, and he wants to go after them. But Duke's kind of putting him first. We've got to deal with Cobra first, and it's a side of Roadblock that we maybe haven't seen before. This kind of he's
vengeful.
Yeah, and it's really interesting stuff. But I've written a note here on my pad to kind of say I love all this Claire stuff, but I was starting to get the feeling, I don't think it does, but I was starting to worry that you've got this big Cobra storyline, the likes of which we haven't seen since, I guess, when would have been the last one where everyone featured, where a load of guys died in Trucia Abysmia, I guess. Would that have been the last kind of super big storyline that featured loads of Joes? But now we've got another one, and is this Claire Duke storyline, which is probably one of the most emotional storylines we've had in recent memory, is it gonna are the two
apart from the death of Snake Eyes, Chief?
Yeah, but apart from but this is even more so. I think the reveal of Claire is even more so than the death of Snake Eyes. To me personally,
it's very operatic.
Yeah. And are these two kind of biggish storylines fighting for page space, or going to interfere with each other, or can they coexist as this continues on? Well, I guess we'll see as we read through the last 3 issues of this storyline and what happens. But it was a concern for me, let's say.
It is a strange juxtaposition of stories, for sure.
Yeah, they could have operated separately, obviously, but
Have you covered the Devil's Due run at all?
We have not yet. No, I think we're gonna get maybe up to what Snake Hunt, I guess, is the currently published storyline that's coming out. I think once we get to Snake Hunt, once we catch up to Snake Hunt, we might take a break from ARAH and then go and maybe do Devil's Due or some of the other IDW continuities.
Okay. Well, just with Cobra World Order, when it started, I was reminded of World War III, which was, that was a lot of fun. And, that was something with tons of different stuff going on. And kudos to the people who worked on World War III for DDP. I think that was sort of one of the crowning storylines in that whole run for sure.
Yep.
But can I just mention that I love when all the Cobra miscellaneous freelancers get together and are chilling and like they're in crystal balls like Plaza Psychic Shop or whatever, and you've got like Destro and Baroness talking with Zartan, Big Boa, Crystal Ball, Cesspool, Slice and Dice.
Yep.
Like these are the things, like when you're playing with the toys, you're like, how do these guys fit together? Well, they're not Iron Grenadiers, they're not Crimson Guards, they're not Vipers. These are like the miscellaneous dudes, like, your Firefly, Copperhead, Scrap Iron. And then these were like the later era guys that got like weirder and crazier. So I always love when seeing Big Boa hanging out with Crystal Ball and Cesspool and Slice and Dice. I'm like, I'm getting, the 9-year-old in me is just like freaking out, like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And it's interesting because me and S-Jubs commented this on a previous episode that, we've seen Cobra Commander and his only senior member of staff left is Dr. Mindbender, and Dr. Mindbender's almost been running the show in the field from tactics and everything, surveillance and everything else. It's just kind of been, obviously Larry's got a lot of love for Mindbender, but a lot of these guys here would have been in the upper hierarchy, especially Zartan, Baroness Destro, even Cesspool to a degree, I suppose, but they're kind of all been on the out. So like you say, it's nice to see them all back, but it would have been nice for Cobra Commander to kind of backfill the position of lieutenants and higher up in the rankings of his own organisation, but we never really got that, did we?
No.
Where's Major Blood in all this? He's been totally supplanted by the Black Major.
Yeah.
It's like, can only have one Major on the team.
When did we last see him? Like, I remember when he showed up in...
He was creeping away from a situation in I think a Latin America
He was going to assassinate Lady J, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
How long ago was that? 15 issues, 20 issues maybe?
Yeah, man. The power situation in that country changed, and TEP... Oh, was it? Oh, sorry, it was probably in the Middle East. Or Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia,
geez.
yes. Yeah.
One of them. Yeah, Southeast Asia.
Trucial Abysmia? Yeah, no.
That was a great 2-issue storyline, though. That was the one where they've gone over to... The Joes have sent Lowlight over to assassinate Generalissimo Tep. And they get orders to stand down. But Lady J gets captured by the Tep and Major Blood, and Major Blood's going to assassinate her. But, yeah, that's a good one. But, we haven't seen Major Blood since then, so... I don't know. Maybe he'll show up. I can't remember. I've read these. Have I? So I've got all the singles, but like I said previously on a previous episode, I'm about 40 or 50 issues behind in my read. So I think this might even be new stuff to me. This is first time round for me, even though I've got.
Oh, this is your first time reading it.
Yeah, even though I've got 40 floppies going forward from this point, but I've never read them.
Well, aren't you lucky?
We'll find out, I guess. So maybe Blood will turn up. Next issue, really nice that it opens in this kind of soft, focusly framed, wordless panels. I know S-Jubs, you're a massive fan of dialogue-free pages.
Yep, it's a visual medium, man. Oftentimes, like, the words can detract because they're unnecessary, they're superfluous. It's like over-description of what's going on in the panel.
Yep.
But yeah, Gallant's visual style is so vivid, you don't need it.
Yeah, not even any boxes to say where it is or where it was set. You're left
Well,
to...
you've got the red crescent instead of the red cross, so we're definitely in an Islamic state.
Oh, good catch.
Or Islamic country.
Yep.
Let me not invoke IS. But yeah, that's a nice touch to indicate that we're somewhere in the Middle East. And yeah, it's a popular move to reset Duke's military history to the Middle East as opposed to where it was, which was Southeast Asia back in the day. That's how things are done.
Yes.
That's where the Joes got their conflict experience before joining up.
Yeah, and we see Duke take a sucking chest wound which is another Larry Hama-ism without the dialogue. Yeah.
Brutal. That looks lethal, man. That looks like when Fred Seven shot Cobra Commander in the back.
It does evoke that. Yeah.
Great catch. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, a really nice change of pace almost to set up the beginning of the issue, because, you know, there was a time where I think we commented, I think this was before you came on as co-host, S-Jubs, but there was a period of time where every issue opened with a splash page. We've got it again here, albeit with a dialogue-less page, but, you know, Gallant's able to convey, and Harmer's able to convey a great backstory in a few pages with no dialogue, and then we get the nightmare-induced Duke waking up, and clearly has a lot of repressed angst and feelings and memories which he's been able to stay on top of, but you know, seeing his wife has brought it all back to the surface.
We're confronting the old PTSD issues here. I mean, this is not just a nightmare. This actually happened, and he's got the scar to prove it.
Yes.
Brutal.
Yeah.
It's bringing in that, just in feeling that weight that, you know, Larry is so good at bringing in. It's like, okay, we're going to balance all this wacky, crazy Cobra stuff happening with, you know, here's some real world, you know, situations that happen to these soldiers, and it's great. I was rereading the Mangler issue of Special Missions. I was saying I was going through them earlier, and that's, nice. I mean, wow, like what a, you know, especially for that era and for a comic book based on a toy line, you know, Special Missions 13 was just such a great issue. And,
unexpected.
When Larry covers that type of thing, you know, it's good.
Yeah, I think we've been saying for a while, haven't we? Some of the best recent issues have been the ones that felt Special Mission-esque.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Flicking back to the toys. No, elsewhere in the pit. This is the incorrect recolor that I spoke on earlier.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there it is.
It's
a brown
clearly
Mobat.
a Mobat design, but it's in tan. Which, hey man, I would have bought Mobats in tan all day.
Yeah, who's to say they don't have one?
Yeah, they look good.
you know,
great.
It was parked behind the chaplain's assistant motor pool, and they finally just got it out, and they're like, "Hey, let's bring out the tan Mobat."
Yeah, and they brought out the green Mobat at Snake Eyes' funeral. But, you know, I failed to mention that on the pod, so I guess that little factoid is dead to us. But, yes, oftentimes these two tanks swap their color
The
palettes.
green, do you mean the green Mauler at Snake Eyes'
that
funeral?
one, sorry.
Green Mauler, yeah.
The one with the M. Yeah, no, there was a green Mauler in Snake Eyes' funeral.
I didn't see that. Good catch by S-Jubs. Nothing slips past him. But I am very confused about how well known the Joe team is to all these special brass pull up, pretty much from every military organisation, or what they list it off, don't they? They say Navy SEALs, Recon Marines, Air Force Combat Controllers, Coast Guard, MSRT, Delta Force, Air Force, Air Mobility Command, Army Aviation, and Navy and Marine Aviation. And they're almost having to explain the existence of G.I. Joe to all these people. But I thought G.I. Joe had been outed, so to speak, or...
you know what they say about military intelligence.
I was confused by this also.
Or have I misinterpreted the scenes, and they are aware of Joe, but they're just filling him in on a bit of backstory? I don't know. I really was unsure.
Yeah, I found that a little odd too. I mean, but maybe they're all like, hey, this is where you took all our best airmen and Navy SEALs and like all our... Because G.I. Joe's supposed to be the best of the best, right? So it's like, oh, I wondered, this is where Beachhead wound up. What happened to that guy? He was so good.
Yeah, good question. Where is Beachhead? Damn it, he hasn't had any page time in ages.
Yeah, you know, like your old coworkers that they were really great to work with, you know?
And then they just disappeared.
Oh. Yeah, glad to see Outback landed on his feet. That's fantastic.
But he wasn't called Outback then, obviously.
Or glad to see Crazy Legs landed on his feet,
Oh,
perhaps,
nice, yeah.
would be the better.
So we've got basically Duke explaining to all these brass... No, it's Hawk, isn't it? Not Duke.
Yeah, Hawk's back from Southampton.
Yes, he's back from Southampton, and he's explaining, you know, what Cobra's got going on, and he's got some high-capacity USB sticks, which will bring everyone up to speed, which is nice.
Nothing to plug them into, though. It's like, what you gonna do?
It's like take them away with you. Take them away.
Take a swig
Oh,
of
I've got
water.
the new Apple. I need to adapt it. It doesn't take USBs.
You notice the page before, they've got a Navyman and an Air Force guy and an Army guy, and it's, good old monkey see, monkey do. What? No, speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil.
Yeah.
Nice one, Shannon. Haha, caught that.
We haven't seen the jugglers in a while, right? Like, that's a throwback.
Big time.
Yeah, we have not seen those guys. I think Larry's just playing in the sandbox and bringing everything he can, just chucking everything, not chucking everything in the wall and seeing what sticks, because for me, all of it's sticking. So everything that's in here is a worthy addition, and just all these callbacks it kind of reinvigorated me in these issues. Just had a real blast, which is nice.
And to partially answer your question, Chief, so it seems these high-ranking military dudes they aren't specifically aware of G.I. Joe's activities, but they are aware that G.I. Joe answers to the jugglers.
Yes.
So they know about the top-secret cabal of generals in the Pentagon called jugglers, and they know that the G.I. Joe is affiliated to them. But yeah, it seems like their exact activities are a mystery to the other, the greater military community, which is unfortunate in times like these when they want to mobilize a major offensive against Cobra sleeper agents, and the rest of the kind of, the assets in the American military-industrial complex are not up to speed.
Yeah.
It's like response time is going to be down.
Because the world must know about Cobra at this point.
Of course, yeah.
Big time.
And who do they think are combating this Cobra menace?
Yeah, if it's not them.
Yeah.
Like, it would be on the news everywhere, people would have,
We don't see Cobra engaged with regular military forces, do we, ever? There's a story. There's some stories to be told. Cobra engaged with other forces, outside of G.I. Joe's purview, in a remote corner of the world.
Well, I'm not sure how it works exactly militarily, but one of the officers throws Homeland Security under the bus. It's like, why are we dealing with this? This is Homeland Security's job to field this foul ball. Nice, Larry Harmer.
Yes.
A little bit of a sporting reference there.
Yeah, he loves it.
I would love to see an issue where,
Captain Gridiron makes an appearance.
of course, well, they just go recruit. They're like, we need another sports-themed guy.
Yes.
So, let's just show up at an
Foul
army
ball.
base. Yeah. Who's your best sporting army man?
Yeah.
Please tell me. We need an infantryman who plays hockey.
Yeah,
what do
or
you got?
lacrosse. Yeah, what have you got? Yeah. Brilliant.
But they're just going and picking everybody up, and it's like, they show up at NASA and we'll take payload, thank you. And they're like, what? He was our best guy. It's like, sorry, NASA,
Yeah.
That would be a Geraldo or Hector Ramirez conspiracy
Yeah, right.
thing. He's like, the world's greatest armed forces keep getting, their best their best members are mysteriously disappearing.
Oh, that's another plot. I'd like to see that as some kind of medium. Maybe as a song, maybe as a rap song. I don't know if someone can do that. But as if Duke waking up in cold sweats isn't enough, now he's under review and surveillance from his own team members, which is really nice couple of pages where everyone needs to decide, is he still fit for service? So
Yeah, nice to see that there are consequences to this subplot. It's like, is Duke compromised?
yeah.
And of course, Throwdown has the last word with his.
You mean Snake Eyes has
F.
the last word? We don't call him Throwdown anymore.
Apologies, yes.
Someone
Man, it was so cruel when they were going through the Darren Crimson Guardsman's residence that had been cleared out, and all the kind of Joes that were checking out rooms were sort of singing out to each other, like, check the top floor, clear, check the kitchen, clear, and then it cuts to Snake Eyes. It's like, well, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
He can't respond.
And who is it that name checks him as Throwdown?
Was it Clutch? Was it
Gets corrected.
one of the OG 13 guys?
Yeah, Scarlet corrects him, yeah. Cobra Commander does finally pull the trigger here with his bewitched, entranced, fascinated code word. And then that's what everyone's been waiting for. That's what the readers have been waiting for, to see what's actually going to happen. We don't see what actually goes on, but we see all the locations across the USA where all the sleeper agents are being activated, and it's like kind of a tense time because well framed, we don't see the agents themselves, it's just high shots of all these industries where big shit's going to go down.
I totally heard the 24 chimes at that moment in the issue.
Right.
You know what I mean, man. At the end of every 24 episode, it's like that's where the pulse pounding stuff starts happening.
Of course I do.
Music
Kiefer Sutherland's
ramping up.
Canadian, treasure.
Of course.
Tension is
Oh,
ramping
man.
up high here.
Big time. And then we stop and we have to wait a week. You have to wait a week to listen to the next part of the tale on Talking Joe. But I mean, reading this back in the day, Wordberg,
It was 2 weeks.
what was it like,
Because
man?
it says coming in 2 weeks, part 5.
Oh, very good. It was bi-weekly or fortnightly.
I was very excited, and IDW, when they launched this, there was a big push, because sometimes these titles get ignored, and IDW, I think, has done a great job with all those licensed things from G.I. Joe. Obviously, Transformers has been kicking ass, and the Ninja Turtles stuff has been great, and Gem and everything they've been doing. Even My Little Pony, right? If you're into My Little Pony, like
the Gem
they've
book
done
was
a
great.
great job with those comics, right? The G.I. Joe, it would kind of go peaks and valleys of getting promotion, but when Cobra World Order came back, I think I was still working part-time at Silver Snail when these were coming out. Let me see what year this was.
These would have been 2015, were they? Let me just...
Oh yeah, so I wasn't working at the shop anymore, but I was still there like every week just getting my books. But I was there when it relaunched for sure, and like all that IDW stuff. I mean, that was years ago now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was a lot of excitement just when you were asking about reading it, and as it was coming out off the stands. I just felt like a renewed energy and a big push because if you think about it, 2015, there wasn't too much going on with Joe. I mean, obviously we had like the Joe Cons going on. That was, what Joe Con was 2015? No, it was 2015 Colorado? Colorado was the first one I went to.
Springfield
Oh, Springfield.
in 2015.
So 2016 was Colorado. That was the
Nice.
first one I went to, I think. I'll tell you, I should know.
Loveland, Colorado.
Yeah, because that was the. I should know that because that's the summer I got married. That I went there for that was my bachelor trip. I went to G.I.
sweet,
Joe
dude.
Con. That's how I spent it.
Nice.
It was
Win.
the best.
Win.
Yeah.
I did a pub crawl, okay? You got to go to JoeCon.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, it
Advantage
was a-
Word Burglar.
It was amazing. Yeah, that was a fantastic time. Shout out anyone who was at that Colorado Joe Con. That was a
Incredible.
great, amazing weekend.
Good stuff. Well, these 3 issues have definitely left me looking forward to reading the next 3 and discussing them on next week's episode. So we can't Joe Cola this because it's not the end of a storyline. Obviously, we'll do that next week. We'll check in with the Burginator to get his score for this series. We'll add it to the master list, etched in stone.
Mm-hmm.
But good stuff overall. I think all 3 of us have had a fun time here and pleasantly surprised for me and S-Jubs, I think. Good stuff. We are running long, so we're skipping Toy Talk this week, but there will be more Toy Talk next week. But we do have to confuse people, so it's time for Over-Egging the Pudding, a.k.a. Commonwealth Colloquialisms. And I think I got that the wrong way round. But anyway, play that jingle. We got a pudding. We got a pudding. We're gonna over-egg that pudding. Ain't got no criticisms. We got some Commonwealth colloquialisms. Okay, so I think the Burginator is stepping up to the plate here as well. So we're going to have 4 confusing bits of slang or phrase for our mainly US listeners. So break it out. First one, you can bookend us, S-Jubs. What's your first one?
I'm rooted.
You're rooted.
This is an Aussie colloquialism.
Okay, and that is ROOTED.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh,
You're rooted. You are drunk, I'm saying.
Okay. Word Burgie, any guesses, buddy?
I'm rooted.
Nah, man, I'm rooted.
Tired, exhausted. You don't want to move.
Very good, but this operates on 2 levels because it's the equivalent of the UK colloquialism, I'm shagged, which means you're tired. But I mean, the origin of shag is, screwing.
Intercourse.
So rooting is actually intercourse.
Yes.
But if you are rooted in that sense, it means you're tired, you're exhausted. And now you know.
Very good.
That's a deep one.
Burginator,
That's good.
what have you
That's
got for us? Have you got a Canadian Commonwealth colloquialism?
Well, it's
for
not
us?
super colloquial, but one of my favorite words is of Canadian origin.
Yes.
And it's the word sophoncified.
Sophoncified?
Yes, and I've used it in songs before, but sophoncified. To be sophoncified.
I have no idea. Sophoncified.
To be gobsmacked. To be
amazed.
struck dumb.
No, it's essentially to be extra satisfied, especially at dinner. So if someone has fed you a whole bunch of lasagna and they say, "Hey, Steve, Chief, would you like some more lasagna?" "No, I'm sufficiently sophoncified. Thank you very much."
I love it.
So, it's a great word, and apparently it does originate from Canada originally. So who knows?
Okay.
Great one.
But you rarely hear it. But I always like any opportunity to drop it into a conversation or a rap.
Okay. So if I told you I was Starkers,
Oh, come on, Chief.
is that too easy?
Naked?
There you go.
It is, yeah. Maybe that is a British colloquialism that has made its way around the globe, maybe. Poor show.
Finally, gentlemen, if you were driving down the road in South Africa and you encountered a robot, what are you looking at?
I am looking at a robot, a traffic light.
Ding, ding, ding.
Is it?
Well done,
Wow.
Chief.
Oh, I'll take it.
Nice.
On
I'll
the
take it.
money.
Good.
Yes. Apparently, well, I always thought it was because some old school sci-fi film came out around about the same time traffic lights were introduced in South Africa. But the internet seems to think that the etymology is just, people used to call them robot policemen. Because before that, obviously, you had a traffic officer directing traffic. So you now have this blinking light thing that does it automatically. Hence it's a robot. What else has blinking lights? Robots. Like Forbidden Planet? Yeah, must have been like that.
I like that. It's like calling your phone your pants computer.
Excellent.
Yeah, love it.
Except in the case of Pan's computer, you're kind of taking a shorter term and making it longer. Whereas
yes.
traffic lights, robot, come on, that shit needs to catch on.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that in everyday life to make confuse
Take a
the
left
hell
at
out
the
of my
robots.
missus.
Good luck.
Very good.
R2, is that you?
More confusion next week, as always. Right now, though, we've got to go to listener questions because it's time for We Asked You a Question. The listeners are going to give us some questions, but the questions aren't for us. They're for Word Burglar, and he's going to try and answer the questions. I had no idea what was happening.
You can
there.
really carry a tune, Chief.
I'm not sure about that, but before we get to the listener questions, it's time for a G.I. Joe pop quiz. It's a G.I. Joe pop quiz question 2. You're feeling great. You have tickets to the hottest live event going, the sold-out, much-anticipated Battle Royale between Tommy, Storm Shadow Rashikage, and Logan the Wolverine. These two titans of martial arts perfection and fighting prowess are set to face off in ultimate combat. No mercy, no surrender. 2 enter, 1 leaves. Who wins when they face off in a game of chess?
I got to go Wolverine only because he's been around longer.
Okay.
He's way
picked up
older than
tactics.
Tommy, so he's had more experience.
Okay, he's a chess grandmaster, if you didn't know.
That is oh, you're right.
No, I don't know. I made that up.
Oh, if Tommy is a chess grandmaster. I
Oh, is he?
No, I don't know. I don't know if he
Oh.
is. But
I don't know.
That would
I'm
be
just-
a fun, obscure fact. But I would go with Wolverine because he's like 100 years old or something.
Yes. He's probably played a few games of chess in his
Yeah.
time.
A sword fight is like a game of chess. you must think first before you move. Wasn't there a Wu-Tang song that had that little sample?
Oh, yeah. Mystery of chess boxing.
Okay, we've got some questions here. They Gone said, will there be a theory that surpasses postmodernism? or what's the one figure you know once they come out with it in the line, it will be around for a while?
Voltar.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all the major ones are out already, aren't they? I assume we're talking about action figures here, but...
I would say a Dreadnought, because if they release one Dreadnought, that gives you a bit of hope that, well, if they put out Buzzer, they got to come out with at least Ripper and Torch, and then Road Pig, and, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I found my old Ripper. Me and Steve I found my Ripper in the... that's not a colloquialism, by the way. I found my action figure Ripper. Oh, it is a Ripper in Australia, I guess. Yeah, found that, and I was hadn't seen it for ages. The Dreadnoughts are cool action figures, man, and I'd love a 6-inch line of them. But yeah, good one. G.I. Joe Nerdland. Since I listen to Welcome to Cobra Island at least once a week, can we expect a follow-up Joe album in the future? Well, I know you've kind of mentioned that you've tinkered and started, but maybe not finished some other Joe songs. So is there a chance of combining those into an album, do you think?
I would say there is a very good chance. Ooh. I have many ideas. I'd love to see if this vinyl can get funded, and if I do it, it'll be for me, because the first album was all about doing it for me, and I'm so happy with how it came together, and it's the perfect length, and I cut songs from that, and I have many other ideas for songs, and a lot of songs that are started, a couple that have actually been finished, and I've trickled out. There was one that came out I had an album called Rhyme Your Business, and there's a song on there called Wrong Ralph Pulaski, Cobra Apocalypse Part 1. So I would certainly like to continue the story that started in that song, but on top of that, yeah, I mean, it's tricky because it is, for all intents and purposes, it's I'm making it's fan fiction. So the line of how much I can do can get a little tricky, I think. There's certainly a lot I'd like to do. Listen, if IDW or Hasbro or somebody called me tomorrow and said, let's do a comic book song compilation with comic books that illustrate all new songs, and you get free downloads of the music when you buy the comic book.
Yeah, you're in.
Oh my God, I'd be like, man, I could do that for 500 issues. So, I mean, if there was something like that, certainly if there was some kind of an official capacity where there was something that almost maybe could have happened, but yeah, I would, for now, I think it will just have to remain fan fiction, and I would love to. So let me just say that, and hopefully in 2021, because I think there's a few things cooking in the land of Joe. There's like a new movie coming out, maybe. So Snake Eyes wrote a lot of letters. I'll leave it at that.
Ah, yes. Okay. Right. We wait with anticipation. Come on, everyone that's involved in pulling the strings, pull them strings. Jim says, out of these 3 classics, which deserves the mantle of greatest rap intro song to a show ever? Is it the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or Flag Points? And does he remember the lyrics to all 3?
Well, thank you so much. I have to go with Flag Points podcast. I don't know who did that intro, but wow, that was fantastic. And shout out Dave and all the Flag Points. When I did the intro for the Flag Points podcast, Dave and I had become pretty good friends, I guess, over podcasting and just Joe nerdery. And in a lot of ways, doing that Flag Points podcast back in the day really helped introduce me to a lot of great people in the Joe community. So I will never forget what Flag Points and that whole community gave me and fandom. So shout out Flag Points again. Can't give them enough props. Great podcast, and still great listen if you can go find it. I think they're up on 3djoes.com. So
yep. Mm-hmm. Very cool. I think that about wraps it up. One last question from me. Is there any other franchise that you haven't yet kind of put lyrics to that would really float your boat, or have you?
Well, I've always wanted to do a Clawful Triclops team-up song.
Right, interesting. Okay.
Listen, being a child of the 80s, we had obviously G.I. Joe and Transformers, Star Wars, but there's so many He-Man, Visionaries. I mean, there are so many things. My new album, which I'm working on now, there's at least one track that I think 80s Sunbow aficionados will understand. So, it's got some monsters in it. I'll leave it there.
Okay, keep the peepers ready for that then.
But there's tons and tons of stuff, and I like to do like with my albums. Like I like doing kind of like mixtape songs, which are just a whole variety of different tracks, and then I like to have albums that stick to a theme, right? So Space Verse, you mentioned Welcome to Cobra Island. Those are following themes. So I've got a couple themed projects I'm working on and a couple like mixtape projects. So obviously with COVID bumping the road, it's been a bit of a rocky year, but hopefully 2021 there's going to be a bunch of new stuff that I'm going to be able to share with people. So
very cool.
And thanks for all these questions. Like I honestly, the fact that anyone even enjoys listening to this stuff, because I've just always kind of made it for me and my friends. So when I meet people who dig the music I'm making, I'm like, wow, we're probably going to be friends then if you get my sense of humor or you dig this stuff too. So I really appreciate all your support, guys, and everybody who sent in questions. So yo, Joe, to all of you guys, for sure.
Very good, very good. We want to say a massive shout out to the Word Burglar, Burgie, the Burginator, Burgosaurus Rex for coming on the show and dropping the insight on Joe as a whole. So thanks to that. And please go and check out wordburglar.com, where you're going to find all the information about the project. Let's get this vinyl funded, people. We can do it. And obviously a big thanks to co-host SJub7, who is now falling asleep at 1 a.m. and he's got to get up and do some actual working man's work tomorrow. So hopefully you can at least get some shut-eye. But go and check out G.I. Joe Berg for all the latest stuff going on over there. There's a Patreon as well. And a new episode of Chief's Toy Box, episode 5, where I go through G.I. Joe weapons and we match them up with some of my figures from the box, and Steve helps out with that. So that will be coming in the next few days. Don't worry about editing that right now, Steve. You need to sleep.
No, Chief, that's already out.
Oh, shit, is it?
That sounds amazing. Send me the link.
It's out by the time this podcast drops. So,
okay, well, there's Oh, yeah, of course it is, because we are in your past but our future, but someone's present. So by the time it is, yes, it will be out,
so
yes.
Open that present. Reach
so
into
open
the
that
box.
present, yes.
Pull it
Reach
out.
into the box. You can find, I don't really do much, you can go to Chiefy2 Shoes on Instagram or Twitter and see my daily art posts of commissioned comic art I've had done over the years for me. But with all that said and done, we will see you down the road.
We've been talking, Joe.
And we're all out of Joes.
Thanks, guys.
Yo, Joe!
It was 81, I was trying to leave the war behind, looking for peace and a place I could store my mind. In the forest ponds of the high Sierras, course, what was sure to find me there was fate. It's got a funny way of catching up to you. Sarge tracked me, offered up a substitute to catching rabbits for dinner with my bare hands. They were starting a team, I was a rare man. Hadn't heard from Tommy since he abandoned the clan in Japan, had to disband it. And I'll be candid, I let the solitude get to me. Wasn't done yet with destiny. Told Lonzo, tell me about your team. He said, welcome, you're number 13. Lucky me, thinking things couldn't get worse. I took the code name, hoping I could shed my curse. It was time to serve my country once more. So I left the wolves at my front door and joined up as the ranking commando. Convinced I had the future in my hands, so pass the ammo and the mission brief. And let them know I got a history of giving grief. With my trusty spike knuckle trench knives. Watch me carve these snakes into french fries. Accept the fear, don't let it steer you. When you move with the wind, no one can hear you. Fate's your friend one day, the next it takes lives. Assume the worst, but count on snake eyes. Now they say, you win them with the hearts and minds. And I thought I was done sharing parts of mine. Till the day I met the woman of my dreams. She was putting an ass whooping on my team. She She had scarlet hair and loved crossbows. We worked well together, got close, lost souls. But I was living in fear that my bad luck would touch anyone near. And sure enough, we got sent on a rescue op, and a helicopter engine flopped. Deja vu, they were screaming to get clear. When I saw she was trapped by her web gear, she told me just leave her to die. Then the gas blew up like the 4th of July. I pushed her aside, tried to tell her she was safe, as the flames were melting off my face. They said I'd never talk or look human again, but given the choice, I'd do it again. More than friends, I couldn't live without her. No need to speak, actions are louder. So don't ask why I have to have a mask. Just keep the lips off my balaclava, and my sticks in your sights, son. Charlie, Mike, stay till the fight's won. Accept the fear, don't let it steer you. When you move with the wind, no one can hear you. Fate's your friend one day, the next it takes lives. Assume the worst, but count on snake eyes.